Alright, thank you for tuning in to Stampscaping 101. We have a little piece of 2.5-inch square gold foil. Now it has all my fingerprints all over it from handling. Can't help that. But these little pieces are really fun to work on. Let's work on a card here. And we're going to do this with Brilliance inks. Okay, they are inks designed to dry on non-porous surfaces. Okay, you can use them like regular pigment inks, but they can also dry on things like this, surfaces like this, foil, okay? Regular pigment inks, you can stamp on them and then emboss, so you can try it that way too if you don't have Brilliance inks or things like Stays-On, those types of inks that are, designed to dry quickly and on, let's say, unconventional surfaces. Conventional surfaces being things like cardstocks and whatnot. All right, now one of the things, if you ever try this on foil, because, and if you're working with pigment inks, pigment inks are thick. They're almost like paint, and they are oil-based. So when you're stamping your imagery, be fairly decisive, okay? I mean, I'm positioning, but, when I'm making contact, you can feel it kind of want to, slide around a little bit. But, when you're making contact, just be fairly decisive. You don't have to press super hard because you don't want the ink to squeeze out from underneath the rubber, This is almost like stamping on glass, okay? You don't have any absorption of the media into the surface like you normally would with inks, most inks, and, cardstocks, be it coated or otherwise, these mirrored ones. I don't know what's on it. It might be some kind of plastic coating. I don't know. The metals. I have no idea what's on these. But, just, be mindful of it. It's not hard to do. Okay, let's go for another impression over here. Now, sometimes when you're going impression over impression, and what I do with Stampscape stamps, I'm typically overlapping my previous impressions a little bit. So if you're going wet ink over wet ink, that can get a little bit slippery there too. So, just be mindful of it. And I do have to get used to it a little bit. Or not really used to, but I have to be reminded of it. Because, sometimes if I don't do this for a while on this type of foil, I might be stamping something out, and I can feel it, move kind of, a little millimeter or something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm reminded of that. Okay, so don't press too hard, but, see, I kind of move my pressure points around a little bit as I'm doing this, because I want, firm, adequate pressure, but I want that ink to transfer, and it takes longer for it to transfer. It's not really transferring too much. It's like setting up a little bit and drying while I'm holding this down a little bit. So I get a little bit of a better impression, okay? All right, so you see that. Now, sometimes when you stamp these things out, too, if you don't hold long enough, or if you're using a brand new pad with a lot of ink on the bottom of your stamp, you might stamp in here, and then you might lift this off, and it's like a vacuum, the ink just kind of comes right back on, and it sticks on your rubber or your stamp that you're using. So just be mindful of that too. You kind of get a feel of it, of how long to hold your pieces. If you ever do this, though, just get a scrap piece of paper, test it out, do a few impressions, and then, you're testing, and then you just wipe this right off. That's still wet and will come off cleanly with no problem, okay? All right. I am going to stamp, that was the cling foam version of Pines and Rocks. I'm going to use the top of my large leafless pine here to go in the foreground here. And I'm going to do this one in white so it stands out against that gold. Okay, this is gold on gold, which I think looks really elegant and really fun. You see this one's on there a little bit thicker than this one. But we're going to have to heat set this, though. Okay, now one of the things about this surface is that when I heat set it, I start to see this kind of foggy effect happening, and it kind of rainbows the paper. You know, this is a metallics coating, so you get that kind of rainbowy type of effect. It's like heating brass or something like that, which I did in college, and I saw that phenomenon. So I guess this is real, I don't know, metal underneath there. I'm guessing there's has to be, but I'm not sure. But look at that. It's kind of cool, though. I like that kind of effect, you know, of getting that extra color in there. I don't know if I'm rationalizing because there's just, I guess there's a way around it. I guess you can heat set and just take longer, you know, so it never really gets up to heat. But I think it looks pretty good. And I don't know, it's one of those things. I mean, when you're dealing with these types of surfaces, you know, you're utilizing light a lot, you know, which is what's really happening, you know, because there's so much reflection coming off of this. So I just see that kind of rainbowy type of effect as part of the, I don't know, the bonus or whatever, part of the look. Okay, now this one I'm going to cover up a lot of that tree area, and I'm going to go up fairly close to the top. And this should go on here pretty well if I've heat set enough. Okay, if I didn't heat set that gold quite enough, the transferring of the white ink to the surface might not be as strong. But I'm pretty sure I did. But sometimes that foundation layer of ink on there allows the top layers of inks that you lay down to go on even better. Because, I don't know, it has something to grab onto as opposed to just, you know, the straight foil surface, you know, that's very thick and, you know, non-porous. Yeah, look how beautiful that's stamped out. All right. Maybe the heat setting, too, kind of helped it a little bit. Look at that. God, it's so clear. It's clearer than I thought it would be. That's one of the best impressions I've had on foil. I think. I don't know. That looks so well. Good. I'm going to go with another smaller version of this pine to go on the side, I think. I'll go with a smaller version out here. And I'll go with another one. I'll put this one a little bit closer to the pine just so it's not so painfully symmetrical. All right, we have that. Look at the depth that we can achieve with that. Now, see those gold ones, the gold trees stood out quite a bit, but look how much depth. It almost looks like two layers, you know, in the distance with that white stamped on there now, doesn't it? And look at that rainbow. Okay, now we're going to have to set this. You can let this, I mean, I could let this one air dry, and then it would, you know, we would retain that rainbowing, but see, I'm never quite sure what'll happen, you know, with more heat setting. Do we lose the rainbow? Does it get, I don't know, does it get more intense? I don't have that rainbow around here because I didn't, you know, all my trees are in the base, so I don't know. Maybe sometime, maybe you should do some kind of arcing rainbow. See, that looks like a rainbow in there, you know, like that. That would be kind of interesting, huh? I've never done that before. All right. Don't burn your hands on, you know, little tiny, you know, squares like this. Just be careful, be mindful. If you notice, I kind of keep moving around from up here, over here, you know, and I'm switching it if I want to get this side. Yeah, that rainbowy type of looks pretty decent, I guess. It sure looks different depending on what light you have in it. I'm kind of bending it back into place here. Okay, now let's see. I'm making this into a little Christmas type of card. So I think I want to do, we could splatter paint this with some snow or something like that. And that would be a little interesting, I think. But I'm going to take a white paint pen and add in some extra dimension to my branches. See this right in the where the branch kind of meets the trunk, you put a little bit of extra kind of snow buildup on there, like this. Or you can put it on the top sides of the branches. I like it right in that spot, you know, where branch meets trunk. What you have is an otherwise, you know, this is pretty it's a flat image, it's a silhouette, you know, these trees. So this little highlighting gives them extra dimension. You can even put some on the background trees. Like so. Okay, you see it in there, right in the the notch or whatever right there. It's like even more dimensional. And let's see here. Maybe I'll just hand do some little stars in here. I mean, you can do snow if you want to. It can represent snow. The difference between stars and snow, you put the little dots in front of the trees as well, then it's like snowfall. Let's do that. Let's put some in front of some trees. Kind of make it a little bit more irregular. See, I kind of start doing it and everything's like a quarter inch apart from each other. You kind of have to cluster sometimes. I'll do a couple little ones that are a little bit bigger. I'm going to do a focal point on this one. I wasn't quite sure if I'd do a North Star, but I think we need some sort of visual anchor in here. Where to do it, though? Let's do it. There's not a lot of space in here. There's, you know, I got a lot of trees, but maybe right here. Okay, I'll make this little star my focal point. Okay, so I go 1, flip this around, and I'll go 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'll make these secondary lines shorter. Okay, 2. Ooh, that was barely a line. 3. I mean, I can extend it too. You don't have to do it in one stroke. 4. Okay, so there's our little North Star type of thing. Kind of creates a nice little focal point, doesn't it? You see it like that? See that? This thing's like it's like a little gem or something. That's what I like about these metallics. I never used them before, you know, for years and years and years. I never even thought about it. But I just started playing around with it. Oh, end of last year for the first time. This is some glue. Okay, and we're going to... I have these gold little I don't know, like rhinestones or whatever. And we're just going to add in some of these. You know, we're going to add in a little bling to our piece. We'll use the clear crystals too. I just wanted to... I know what the clear crystals will look like. I just wanted to see what the gold would look like. Gold on gold. There's a lot of you know, oops, glue is so thick. I'm kind of adding this in a very sloppy manner. Okay. I'm not trying to do it sloppy. I don't know. I just am. When it comes to this, I need to get some more glue. I don't know. I need to get a few things, but okay. So that's my little applicator there. Okay, let's see. For these smaller ones, for the gold, I'll use some of these smaller ones. I don't think I want these to stand out too much. Oops. I just got glue all over my gem picker. Crystal picker. What is this called? Jewel picker. Let's go with a little bit more crystal. I think that's enough of the gold. The crystals are going to sparkle a little bit more. So let's go with that. Yeah. Clear crystals. The gold's kind of a nice, kind of secondary visual to the clear, though. They're a little bit more kind of subdued. Let's go to a couple larger ones. You have to kind of, when you're looking at your pieces, I mean, we're really close to them when we're making these types of things. We're just a few inches away. But if this is going to be something like a card that's displayed on a mantle, wherever people would display some Christmas cards, you have to take that in consideration and say, okay, if the average viewing distance is going to be, after someone initially opens their card, I'm talking about, for the rest of the, 98% of the time, it's going to be something that's viewed from, I don't know, 15 feet away. You kind of have to punch things a little bit more. And so we're seeing this as like a, when you get a card, it's like a, I don't know, like a book illustration, where you're flipping around and you're seeing it right there, okay? But then when it's displayed at a distance, you have to think about it as like a poster design, something that you're seeing. It has to be effective from that distance as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but ideally, you kind of have a little bit of the, both worlds when you're doing things like this. Okay, now this I could spray seal it, and I'll do that eventually. Okay, now here's a card that I've already formatted. Let me get that glue out of the way. I'm always putting my hand in that glue after I use it. I've formatted this card with some additional foil, and this is red foil. I loved when I did my little minis the other day, how this gold looked on red foil. I thought it was so dramatic. Okay, so I've already put my little photo squares on this. Oh, let me get this off right here. You don't really need this, but this is just my scratch tool. It works perfect for removing these little photo stickers. The wax paper off of them. Okay. All right, we got to format this correctly. This would look good too. I never thought about that. Huh. I was thinking about this way. It's a little bit more elongated. Let's just go with this. Okay. When you do this, kind of, just be gentle. Don't rub off your little gems. Okay. Got that going like so. Let's take a look at that little rainbow effect. Look at that. I don't know. I think it adds to it. See, this is without. It kind of provides a nice contrast against that, just that plain gold. I say plain gold when we ever say that, in a card when you have something so mirrored and sparkly. But this is such, so rich. Okay, now let's see those little clear crystals. Okay, they look pretty good. But then see this one right here. There's 1, 2, and 3 gold. Those look pretty good. See, they're a little more subdued. You see these ones right here are brighter, but then these 3, they just kind of twinkle. They're like a secondary twinkle. They're very, see, look at that little one flashing. But these ones are like mirrors on here. Yeah. So that looks pretty. Now see, I mean, if we're looking at this from distance, I mean, that's going to be, you might not be able to read like all the details from a distance, but if that's catching the light like that, at all, I mean, that's going to stand out pretty well from a distance. So you're getting that kind of dual type of dual capability. Okay, this is my little piece. It comes from the Scenic Sentiment set. I'm just eyeballing this. Trying to find a good spot for it. Okay, I'm gonna go like that. It's wrapping around, yeah, a little bit, but okay, something like that. You can even put something out here if you want to. I don't know if it'd be too much. Or this could be hanging like this. I don't know, that'd be like a gigantic ornament or something like that. I should have probably positioned this up a little bit more and this one a little bit lower, but I don't know, I think this looks okay like that. But anyway, there's your card. That's a fairly quick card. Now, I formatted all this off, camera and before the piece, but this piece right in here, that little, I see it like a little jewel or something like that of a visual. I think that's, those come together pretty fast. All right, so anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, hope you hit the like button. This helps to support the channel and such. And I'm looking at that rainbow. So here's the rainbowing down here too in this piece because I heat set that. It might be good to do this one and let it air dry. Although it's not bad, but I think that it would be interesting if that was just the only rainbow portion. I don't know. You can heat set and not get that rainbowing. Like I said, you just hit it from a distance and, you take a little bit longer. Maybe instead of like 30 seconds or 20, 30 seconds or something like that, you take a minute, but all right. Learning all the time. And thanks as always for watching.